All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Um, as always, we begin meditation by finding our seat. And finding your seat means not just finding a position that is comfortable and sustainable, but it also means coming into a feeling of acceptance for whatever is happening. Right? Because meditation is where we start to break down those barriers between the inner world and the outer world. So as you're finding your seat, so actually physically finding your seat, go ahead and do that. And again, make sure that you have what you need so that you are not being concerned that your position is going to keep pulling your mind out. And then also come into just a space in your mind where you're willing to drop whatever feeling of necessity there is to pay attention to what's outside of you. As you start to come into your seat, start to pay attention to what feels like the inside of you in relation to the outside world. So bring your attention to your skin, the touch of the air on your skin, whether you're inside a house or outside. Feeling of your clothing, whatever you're seated upon. And bring the attention to your ears. What can you hear? And by focusing on the senses to begin, it's giving you again a reference for here is the outside world and here's how my inner world is experiencing it. So these things, you can let the mind focus on them so that they don't continue to be distractions. So you're hearing sounds of the air, your own heartbeat. There are other beings or people in your space, you hear them moving, doing, being. And bring your attention to your nose. What can you smell? Without jumping to whatever reactions come with those smells. And then bring the attention to your sense of taste, your mouth. What is there? Even just the feeling of moisture. You become aware of it, focus on it, bring your attention there. And finally to your eyes. Your eyes are closed. Can you still feel that there is the experience of light through your eyes? And then what you can feel or perceive inside of you. Through your eyes. And let your attention release from that and come completely to the feel of your breath as the breath moves through the nostrils. You are catching every breath. Your awareness is on the exhale as the breath moves through the nostrils. That's the sensation. Every time the mind gets distracted by one of the senses, catch yourself on the exhale. And feel that there's the space of the outside world, and there's the space of the inside world. And the link between them is the breath. That's all you need to know. Become comfortable with your mind that does not cease thinking. Allow that thinking to be the backdrop, the background for the breath. And then as you are breathing, I want you to begin to notice where there is a natural pause between the inhale and the exhale, and between the exhale and the inhale. When you come to that pause, I want you to let your breath suspend just for an instant, and then follow the inhale or the exhale to the next pause. At the top of every inhale, there's a pause. At the bottom of every exhale, there's a pause. And if the mind wanders, you come back to the sensation of the breath at the nostrils on the exhale. Every pause is an easeful pause. You're not holding the breath, you're just allowing the pause to extend. No gripping. And begin to bring your attention back to the eyes. Back to your ears. Back to your mouth, your tongue. Back to your nose. And back to the feel of your skin. And then as you're ready, let the eyes float open. Do a little movement, letting the neck roll from side to side, maybe rolling the shoulders. Change your seat if you need. What we were just practicing is that going through the focus of the senses and then slowly putting your attention on the senses and then bringing the attention away is a form of pratyahara, which is often described as like a turtle withdrawing into its shell. It's bringing your awareness from the outside world, where our mind is usually focused, into the internal space where we are rarely focused. So it's an interesting practice to start with when you're going to meditate, because if we don't, then we sit and we just want our mind to go to a place that's still or that's quiet, but our senses are still reaching for everything outside. So they're reaching for, what is that sound? What is that smell? What is that that's going on? And the mind gets that sort of FOMO feeling of, I don't want to miss out. So it keeps reaching outside. So the practice of pratyahara is a way to slowly move yourself away from, I'm focused on the outside, to I'm attentive to what's inside. And even that word choice to me is an important one, that with focus sometimes comes tension. But if you're attentive to something, then it just means that you are aware of it in a way that is embracing, or that is almost more loving than intense. So however that comes into your mind, but it's moving from the outside to the inside is pratyahara. And those pauses that are natural between the breath, as we call that the kumbhak or the kumbhaka, which means breath retention. But it's a natural thing that happens. And as a focal tool, it's an opportunity to feel that space where the mind and the breath stop, right? Because the link that we are made aware of when we meditate is that the breath and the mind are one and the same. They're connected to each other. It's how we get from the inner world to the outer world is through the breath. So when the breath stops naturally, for that instant, the mind is still as well. We just usually miss it because the instant is so wrapped up in the momentum of our thoughts. So the practice, if you're practicing looking for the kumbhak or extending the that space between the breath, is that that's what you're doing, is you're looking for that opportunity for, as the breath comes to stillness, the mind has the chance to become still also. So that's an interesting practice. I just advise, if you're doing it on your own, that you don't look to hold the breath with tension, because that will disturb your mind. It'll upset your nervous system. But that you just look for those natural spaces to become a little broader, a little bit deeper. Okay. But the practice that I have for you today is actually, I wanted you to do that first, because the next breathing technique we're going to do is to actually try to accomplish the opposite, which is to ignore or to unify those places where the breath naturally stops. And so the breathing technique is literally to breathe in a way where there is no pause between the inhale and the exhale, where you can actually allow it to be one fluid cycle of breath. Right? So that's what we're practicing next. So again, change your seat if you need. Do whatever you need to do. And then letting yourself, again, move into the inner spaces. So letting the eyes close, maybe a little bit more quickly go through the senses if it feels like any of them are very much reaching for what's outside of you, is just let them feel it. Let yourself hear and taste and smell and feel. Let your eyes see. And then slowly disengage. Allow your mind to move away from that sensory experience to what it feels like in the inner world. There's your inner sense of taste, your inner sense of sound, inner feelings. And then as you breathe, I'd like for you to inhale and keep your attention at the crown of your head. So inhale your breath and exhale, attention on the crown. And inhale the breath, attention all on the crown of the head. And exhale. One more breath like that, inhaling and exhaling. And inhale, focus on the crown of the head. As you exhale, feel the breath move down through the body. So you're breathing the exhale all the way down to the base of you, the perineum. And as you inhale, the breath is going to rise back up from the perineum all the way to the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, the breath flows down all the way to the perineum. And on the inhale, it flows all the way up from the base of you, all the way up to the crown. You're going to keep breathing like that, but the attention is on. Can you let the space between the inhale and the exhale disappear? You're actively letting your breath flow one circuit. So visually, the inhale is moving down. Sorry, the exhale is moving down. The inhale rises up to the crown. It's the cycle of the breath that you are following. Rise all the way up to the crown of the head, followed immediately into that, descending down to the base. This is a breath that is not about control. There's no stopping it, no changing it, just allowing the inhale to flow into the exhale, to flow into the inhale. And letting the breath happen. Your only attention is visually following the breath. Inhaling all the way up to the crown, and the exhale flows all the way down to the base. But the breath is happening. Happening like a circuit. No beginning, no end. Let your mind become absorbed in that flow of the breath. Inhaling up to the crown, exhaling down to the base. And bring your attention, please, to the space between your eyebrows. Let the breath continue to happen. You're not controlling it, but just let the attention stay at the space between the eyebrows. And now with that circuit, you're inhaling the breath up to that space between the eyebrows. And as you exhale the breath out through the nose, you're following with your attention about 6 inches in front of your nose. And then inhaling, following the breath in and up to the space between the eyebrows. And exhaling, following the breath out to about 6 inches in front of your nose. And continue inhaling, bringing the breath up to the space between the eyebrows. Exhaling out 6 inches in front of your nose. That same feeling of circulation, that there is an energy circuit that runs through you. And that circuit radiates minimum 6 inches beyond the confines of the body. Breath in and up to the space between the eyebrows. Exhaling out, follow the breath 6 inches beyond. And then release the conscious attention on the breath. Bring your attention back to the senses, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your skin. And let the eyes float open when you're ready. So those breathing, that particular pranayama technique is the beginning versions of Vishoka meditation, which I'm working with myself. So if you're interested in it, you can look up Vishoka meditation to see more of what it's about. But it's the said to be a practice that eradicates suffering, right? That eradicates the afflictions of the mind. So that breathing technique where you are uniting the breath, inhale and exhale, is this is the first place that I've seen it as a specific technique that way. And it's interesting, right? Because we often, it's said that pause between breath is our glimpse into the space where the mind is still. But at the same time, to erase that pause and let the breath continuously flow also brings us to an awareness of what's happening beyond our ability to perceive it. So when we're practicing Kumbhaka, it's possible that we get too tense and we think that we're going to control our breath, we're going to control our mind. And then that gets us more stuck in the mind because something has to be controlling it, right? So we get stuck in the mind trying to control the mind. So the ability to say, I can recognize the pause as a place of stillness, and at the same time, I can also practice where there is no pause and where I'm really letting myself go into the state that is happening through me all the time. That's also meditation. And maybe it's an easier way into meditation. I don't know, that you'll discover on your own. But I wanted you to feel both because it's interesting that our interaction with our breath is the way that we interact with our internal self. And that's the way that we're interacting ultimately with the world. Internal world becomes the external world. So getting into that internal space and being able to feel where we are gripping or where we're trying to control, even in meditation, is really valuable. So I have one last little thing for you to do. It's going to be a short one. So change your seat if you need, but let your eyes close again. And if you liked, in a couple of weeks ago, I was doing open-eyed meditation because I think that's a really fantastic thing too. So if you want to keep your eyes open in meditation, you are always able and welcome to do that. It's entirely up to you. So again, it's your relationship internal to external that matters. So eyes open or closed. Bring your attention to the breath. And the mantra is Soham. So the inhale is the sound of So. The exhale is the sound of Hum. It's said to be the mantra of the breath. As you find your inhale, you are hearing the sound So. Exhaling, the sound is Hum. Meaning the mantra literally means I am. We're breathing in and breathing out that reality that is not attached to doing, not dependent on doing. And beautiful if you can maintain that flow of breath where there is no pause. so hum. Let go of your conscious repetition of the mantra. If it continues to echo in your mind, that's normal. Beautiful technique for when your mind is getting wrapped up in whatever it gets wrapped up in. Bring it back to the mantra, so hum. And just my breath. My breath is my link between the internal world, the external world, what is infinite and what is finite. If my breath can become calm, my mind will become calm also. They follow each other. Connect again to your senses, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your skin. Let the eyes float open. Bring your hands to your heart center. Dropping the chin towards the chest. Just acknowledging that there is an inner world that is more expansive than anything that can exist outside. And that your connection from one to the other is so simple because it's your breath built in. Meditation and pranayama is nothing more than getting to know that inner world as much as we feel we know the outer world, even better, more than we know the outer world. The relationship from one to the other begins inside, not out. So a namaste to your own heart. And thank you guys so much. Thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows if you'd like. Namaste. Thank you, thank you. I will unmute you. You can tell me how that went.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Veronica. That was
That
amazing.
was amazing. What a great morning, Veronica.
Yay, good.
Start to finish. It really
How did